Hi, my name is Cassie Angelo, and this is my case study too. So a little bit about the client. He's a 6-year-old male. He has limited verbal communication. He attends school 5 days a week. His diagnosis is autism spectrum disorder, and the behavior of concern is elopement, which is defined as any instance of the client leaving or attempting to leave the designated area, moving 5 feet or more away without obtaining permission. So some examples of this is the client gets up and moves 5 feet or more away from the table before completing the assigned task, from the play area before cleaning up, or from the class line when transitioning. Some non-examples include the client playing outside with peers and running from playground set to playground set. So prior to the intervention, my client escaped tasks frequently with the therapist that he had. So if he escaped from an area without obtaining the permission, he would not have to return back to the table to complete the assigned task. He would not have to go back to the play area to clean up the toys. And he also would not have to return to the line to walk with his peers when transitioning. So the intervention with the use of operant extinction. So what we used was functional communication training, or FCT. And what we did was we taught the client to request for a break. So we had a visual card that had the statement, "I need to take a break." And we placed it on his desk, as well as his visual schedule that he walks around with. So any independent requests, the client would receive his preferred toy, which is his Minecraft action figures. He'd also receive social praise, and then he was given access to that 5-minute break. When the client engaged in elopement, what we did was the therapist does not engage with the client and guides the client back to the designated area. The therapist gesturally prompts to the visual card that states, "I need to take a break," located either on his desk or his visual schedule. So it really depends on where the location of the activity was in that moment. The client is then given the opportunity to make the independent request. Once the independent request is made, therapist provides the client with his preferred toy, which is the Minecraft action figures, social praise, and then is given that access to a 5-minute break. So it's important to note that during this time, the therapist does not provide any verbal prompting. And also the client is given various forms of positive reinforcement for making the request. So with that, we use praise. So great job telling me you needed a break. Or we use the tangible, which is the Minecraft action figure. So why did we use functional communication training? So FCT was selected to decrease the occurrences and attempts of elopement behavior, increase independent requests to access the break, and then also decrease verbal prompting. So the assessment that we used, we did a functional behavior assessment, or an FBA. To start, we did a record review. So we looked at psychological reports, we looked at his previous IEP, and we also looked at medical documents. Indirect interviews were conducted with the teacher and the parent to obtain more information about the elopement behavior and what they say and observe. Direct observations with the client were conducted in the school setting, though, since this is where we provide the therapy and where the behavior is most concerning. We then collected ABC data while we did the direct observations, and it's shown actually in the table right next to it. I provided a couple examples. So the client is presented with a task. He eloped from the desk to the play area, and then the teacher redirected the client back to the desk. Another one is the client playing with toys. Given the demand to clean up, he eloped from the play area to the door. The teacher redirected the client back to the play area, represented the demand to him. So with the ABC data collection, the observations, the indirect interviews, and the record review, it was allowing us to be able to provide what the function of the elopement behavior. So the function that we found is escape and avoidance. So is the behavior socially mediated? So based on the findings from the FBA conducted, it was found that the client's elopement behavior is socially mediated by another person. So with that being said, in order for the client to receive access to a break, it is required that they make the communicative request to another person to access that break. And then the client makes the request for a break. Therapist delivers that reinforcement of the Minecraft toy, social praise, and then the access to a 5-minute break. So the DRA procedure. So looking at it, the challenging behavior is elopement, right? So because the challenging behavior is elopement, we now want to implement this replacement behavior of requesting for a break, right? So they both serve the same function. So reinforcement is provided to the client when making an independent request for a break by using the visual card. Reinforcement is not provided to the client if the client engages in elopement behaviors without making that request. So there's two types of reinforcers being provided to the client. There's conditioned reinforcement, which is the Minecraft action figures. And then there's also generalized conditioned reinforcers, which is the social praise. Stimulus control. So elopement behavior is being controlled by functionally requesting for a break, as well as gaining access to Minecraft action figures and praise. So when allowing escape to occur through elopement behavior, it increases the frequency of occurrence of elopement, and then it also teaches the client to engage in elopement behavior in order to access that break. But when implementing functional communication training in the intervention, we see a decrease in frequency of occurrence of elopement and an increase in the occurrences of requesting that break. So by having the client functionally request for a break, the frequency of his elopement behaviors decreased significantly. So the client must make the request for a break before receiving access to that reinforcement. And that's everything. Thanks for watching.